We're having open and honest conversations about mental health and well-being. We should talk about it with Myra Ansari on Wave Now.
Hey there, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra Ansari. Joining me today is Terri Paige, the co-founder and CEO of the Medical Transformation Center. And you're located here in Louisville. I'm super excited to talk about this topic today. But first, let me say, it's been a while since we've been on the podcast roller coaster, so I'm happy to be here today. Today, we're talking about perimenopause and menopause. Ladies, listen up. I know that this is one of those things where we're starting to talk about it a little bit more, but there's a lot of information, a lot of resources out there that we don't know much about. Fully admitting here, I am going through the perimenopause phase, and boy, oh boy, it is brutal. No one warned me. And, all of my friends were in this age group and, our mid-40s, and we're like, what is happening to us? It is hard. The transition is hard. What is menopause and perimenopause?
Well, menopause technically is when you stop menses. So you stop having periods, right? Okay, so that's, and peri would be before then. So there's this period of time, and perimenopause can start really actually in your 30s.
Wow.
And then go through X amount of years. And, it can depend on when your mom went through menopause or, things like that. Also, it can depend on just your personal hormone levels. It can depend on, sometimes there's surgical menopause where we have to have a hysterectomy. That will do it right then. So it can be at various stages, but usually actually starts in your 30s.
Okay.
And it's just these slow changes that happen in our hormone levels, much like they did on the earlier side of that when we were getting ready to go into puberty, right? Do you remember all those feelings and what you were thinking of? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember standing in a mirror when I was in my, like maybe 13 or 12 or something like that. And just so angry.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even figure out why I was mad, but I just wanted to punch somebody, And you feel that again on the other side, don't you?
Yes, you do. You do. Literally, it was like a shift. And it was like, I could feel it. I felt like, am I crazy? Like, what is happening? I'm feeling all these things. I am burning up and sweating profusely, and I have a fan on my face, and nothing is helping me right now.
Right.
And it's just like, it is hard. It is really hard because life is hard, right?
Yeah.
You're working, maybe you've got kids, you are busy, and it's just like, I feel like I'm not in control anymore. That's the best way I could kind of put it.
I remember that. Now I'm well on the other side, so I am technically in menopause. And
when did you start, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, so when I was younger, so back when I was your age, when I just turned 62. So I just turned 62
You look
like last week.
Amazing.
Last week was my birthday. And side note, I had the best day because I did whatever the heck I wanted to.
Good for you. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. But when I was 43, I guess, 43, I had a hysterectomy after the birth of my last child. And it was an urgent need. And so that, of course, threw me into surgical menopause, right?
Okay.
But I did keep my ovaries. Your ovaries are your primary, but your uterus makes hormones as well. And so I went along for a few years, probably about 3 or 4 years after I had that surgery before I started to feel symptoms. And of course, the first thing I felt were hot flashes. I mean, it was hot flashes. And I remember that same thing. It's like, what's wrong with me? You wake up in the middle of the night.
You're sweating.
Like
the back of my
covers off.
The back of my neck would be drenched. The front would I'm just dripping in sweat.
Yeah. And that's usually a decline in our progesterone.
Okay.
So, and for me, and everybody's different, and you should consult your doctor on this, but a little progesterone cream can go a long way with those perimenopause symptoms.
Okay.
Because it's also that volatility in our temperament. Progesterone is that hormone, just taking it real simple. You're that hormone, if you've been pregnant, right? That you are like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. It's that hormone you have abundance of, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, we start to lose that a little bit as we start to go into perimenopause. And so that's kind of the first thing. And it's that then your hot flashes, your kind of a mood swings, things like that. And then for me, it progressed. I mean, I was able to, and at Medical Transformation Center, we really, for many years, even before the black box warning was pulled off recently, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy can be super safe and effective for women going through hormonal changes. And so I have availed myself to that for years, obviously, for almost 20 years. Started with progesterone. And then when I turned 50, that was actually when it really hit me, that whole, what is wrong with me? Am I losing my mind? I keep forgetting stuff.
Brain fog?
Brain fog. I went into this room. I don't remember why. What is that word again that I wanted to say?
Yes.
And then and I hate to say this, but then some of that rage too. Some of that like, oh, I'm so mad, or you're stupid. That kind of thing.
Yes,
right?
it's just
normal.
not, sometimes it's not like a logical reason why you may be so upset about something.
Right.
But at that moment, it is like this uncontrollable anger.
So there's a couple of different things. Obviously, there are hormones happening. There's a hormonal shift. And I mean, for me, when I turned 50, I really started to realize, okay, there's a whole lot happening here. We really need to. And we kept tabs on my hormone levels over those years. But it'd probably been about a year since I'd had blood testing, and I just started, I was really noticing all this brain fog, this fatigue, this inability to think of words, these varying emotions that didn't quite make a lot of sense. And I was worried actually that, oh gosh, am I getting early Alzheimer's or, something like that? Because my grandmother had Alzheimer's, there's some in my family. And we checked my hormone levels, and it was just, I had tanked. I was full on complete menopause. Of course, I didn't really know necessarily because I didn't have a period to clue me into that, right?
Sure.
But, and so at that point, I mean, I did, and I still to this day, I avail myself to bioidentical estrogen and testosterone as well.
Okay.
And, the other thing, too, that starts to change is your libido.
Absolutely.
And that's where some testosterone and some estrogen especially can be helpful with that. So it definitely is a journey.
It is a journey.
But, have you been reading recently just some of the studies, which I think are great, about women's brains and as we change and go through different phases of life? Because this is the other piece, too. When we're younger and childbearing age, we're kind of wired to keep the peace and maintain harmony, and that's an adaptive thing, right? Keep the it's kind of like an evolutionary thing,
Sure.
I would suspect. To keep the hunter-gatherer, the family, all of that good stuff, right, together.
Sometimes the expectation is a lot.
We're holding on to things, but as we get older and we don't have that biological need any longer, right? I think too there's a change in our thinking pattern of what we'll put up with too.
Absolutely.
We can put up with a lot, maybe it frustrates us, but we're wired to kind of figure it out and keep the peace. And I think too, as we go through changes hormonally and in our lifetime, we start to realize, you know what? That's not acceptable to me anymore.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot going on.
A lot going on. Full disclosure, you were talking about hormone replacement therapy. I went to my OBGYN and I was like, something's not right. I think I'm, she's like, maybe you're going through perimenopause. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about your symptoms. I got on HRT. Best decision for me.
Oh, yeah.
It was the thing that changed my life. The nights I could sleep through the night. I wasn't.
Yeah, because the progesterone is sleep.
Yes, I could sleep through the night. I wasn't up and down. I just feel a whole lot better. So this is where I want you all to advocate for yourselves. Talk to your doctor. You can seek resources and help through places like Medical Transformation Center that can help you and guide you and give you some options, right?
Yeah. And we've seen this a lot happen over the years, especially in a post-COVID world. I would say be really careful with just telemedicine because, there's a lot of that out here, out in the world now. And, it's good to have a relationship with your provider that you're going to undergo this with, so that they understand you already, your nuances, can get to know you and really see you in action as opposed to just a screen and you're sending in blood work and that's that. Because, we use blood work, but we really drive on symptoms and behavior because, blood work is good, but it's not the whole story.
Tell me about Medical Transformation Center. Where are you all located? What do you all, as far as menopause and perimenopause, what sort of options, what do you do for your clients?
Well, first of all, we see men and women,
Okay.
boys and girls. So we see everybody at Medical Transformation Center. There are typically three types of folks that come to see us. So, the people, we have those folks, and you probably might know somebody in your sphere, people that have been everywhere and haven't gotten an answer. Right?
How frustrating that is.
That's so frustrating.
Yes.
That they've been, oh, well, it's just part of getting older, or, oh, this is just, and it could be something as simple as, gosh, I just don't have the energy I used to have, or something more extreme, like I've got all these symptoms, but they can't seem to figure out what it is.
Okay.
Right? So we see those types of folks, again, adults and children. All right? We also see people who have a diagnosis, for example, like maybe I've been given a diagnosis of an autoimmune disease or a GI issue, and the answer has been, well, here's your medicine. You're just going to need to take this for the rest of your life. We're going to manage symptoms. And, so we can help people look at that differently, and we have a bigger toolbox. So I probably should back up for just a minute and let you know this. So we have MDs, we have physicians that have experience in primary care training. I mean, my husband is the chief medical officer and co-founder of Medical Transformation Center. I mean, he practiced primary care for over 30 years. So we have all of those wonderful conventional medicine tools if we need them.
Sure.
And we haven't thrown those away. We've just added to our toolbox.
Yeah.
And so we don't take the place of somebody's primary care doctor. We actually require our patients to keep one. But what we do is we say we'll come alongside of you and really support you if you want to look at lifestyle, nutrition, genetics, food sensitivities, toxicities, underlying infections and things like that, especially, again, in a post-COVID world. There's so much that has lit up for people after, that virus hit our system, for example. But so second group is people who have a diagnosis and don't want to just go down that regular path.
Yeah.
And then the third group of people would be like, you know what? Not anything is great big wrong with me right now. I may be watching my parents age not so gracefully, and I want to head things off at the pass, or I just want to see how far I can go in optimizing.
Yeah.
And that's fun too.
Absolutely. Okay, so folks, if you have a question for Terri in regards to what we're talking about today, put it here in the comments if you're joining us live right now, and I'll try to get that question over to Terri. But I also have, what you all saw me scrolling through earlier was your website, and I put a link to that also in this stream so you can check it out. Here are all the things that Medical Transformation Center can help their patients with, their clients with, whether it's weight loss, menopause, chronic fatigue, thyroid issues. You guys kind of jump into the whole body sort of thing.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, when we were in primary care for so many years, especially near the end, kind of like after 2008 or so, you really felt like you were just managing people's demise. I mean, and sometimes, again, traditional conventional medicine is absolutely the right tool, and we want to use it. But so often it's those chronic things, or let's just wait until it gets bad and we'll address it. And we wanted to really jump ahead of the curve. It started with some health issues that I was having, and it made us look at health differently back in that 2004, let's see, what was it, 2008, 9, for me. I was really struggling. I hit rock bottom with some autoimmune, GI, hormonal, all of the different things, and we started to look at things differently. And but I think it's having the ability to look at things with a clearer lens, not being, we don't accept insurance in the practice, so it does give us latitude to be able to look and to use tools, maybe it's small molecules or peptides or things like that too.
You said something interesting. Maybe I should wait until it gets bad. If you're feeling a certain way, maybe you're already at the gets bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, the thing is, you don't have to suffer. I think for many years, there was a lot of doubt about options that women could take, whether it was hormone replacement therapy or what options there were. But that narrative has really shifted, right, Terri?
Oh, it has. It's been fun to see that, too. I don't know if you got a chance to read Brooke Shields' book. It's hilarious. But it's so fun to hear it being spoken out loud. And there's such a groundswell of that, it's not just we go off into the night, we fade away as women once we hit a certain age, not necessarily have very much to contribute after that. We get frail and shrink and all of that. And with the advances that we have, with the information that we have, there are so many ways that we can help you maintain body composition, muscle strength, bone density, cognition, libido. I mean, all of those things that make us vital contributors to the world. It doesn't have to just be, okay, I'm done. I've finished my reproductive life and I'm done.
Doesn't it all, I heard a comedian make a joke, it's like you're done with the reproductive part of your life, and it's like they just set you on fire,
put you
we're
in the
done
boat,
with you,
put you
right?
in the boat and light the boat up and go out onto the water.
You have no more function anymore. We're done with you. You're going to suffer now. And that's just how it kind of feels.
Well, I've enjoyed each phase, and it's taken a while to get to that, and maybe that is the benefit of getting older. I'm grateful for every year I turn older, so
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem talking about it. But I started as a really young mother, and then we have 8 children. So we have 8 children, and so I did that piece, and I loved it. As a young mother, of course, I was still trying to finish school and go to college and do all of those other things. Was a working mother with our second one and did all of those pieces. I had this luxury of with the 6 that we had 6 and 7 years when I was older, from 35 to 42, and I had the luxury at that point to be able to stay home with them and we homeschooled, which it was on my heart. I wanted to do it, and it was just. But it was a phase, right? It was a phase of life,
Sure.
and we did it, and it was lovely. And now I'm on to this next phase, and I'm enjoying. We're opening another business. We've got a couple of different ones. I'm enjoying contributing to people's health in this way.
Yeah.
And so it's just phases, right? And
Yeah.
we grab every one of them.
What are some of the comments that your clients have come to you, Terri, and said, okay, I feel like myself again, or
I love those.
I have the energy now, or you know what, I was in a deep, dark depression because of this, and now I feel like I have a purpose again, or tell me what people tell you.
Well, I always want to preface it with this. So while we do have some amazing tools, right? Things that are out of the box, maybe not everybody has, what we do is really incumbent on a partnership with our patients. So people have to be ready to commit to their health, not just sit back and go, okay, give me all your magic pills. That's important, because if that type of client doesn't do well at Medical Transformation Center, because it is a partnership. As a matter of fact, I teach 8 classes a month on this topic.
Okay.
Okay? But, having that full commitment to your health, you have to decide, are you ready to do the pieces that you're going to need to do? And I'm always peeling my own onion on this one.
Yeah.
Do better on this, do better on that. There are always lifestyle changes in addition to what we're doing. So, cleaning up the gut, the microbiome, our diet, our exercise habits, our sleep habits, our stress management. So there's so many pieces that we can educate on but can't do for somebody. There's that piece, but when you get that marriage of our tools and that person who's committed, I was told before that and this is quoting, I was told before that I was just going to continue to decline with my autoimmune disease, and I was never going to be able to do X, Y, Z, and now I'm thriving. I can't believe it. People don't recognize me when they see me, and it's not just about, oh, I lost weight. As we know, anybody can lose weight, with a grapefruit diet or whatever. It's more about, I got healthier.
Yeah.
As a byproduct, if I was carrying around extra weight, I've lost that. But it's really about the vibrancy and the energy. Or older people, I can get up and down off the floor now with my grandkids. I can play. I have the stamina to hold the baby for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I can go back to work.
Yeah.
People that have been on disability and just thought, this is it. And
It doesn't have to be your normal.
Now, and we see kids too. So, those are examples of adults, but with kids too, because when we see kids, it's because a lot of times they've been maybe given a diagnosis or something, and the parents are like, gosh, do I just need to use medications for this for the rest of their, time? And so being able to make that difference, and, that I have, wow, my kid, is focused and is attentive and looking me in the eye, and there's just so many different things that are beautiful about that.
Absolutely. So we do have some questions and comments. Rosemary Lactelli, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. She wants to know, where are you located? Good question.
So we're located at 13111 East Point Park Boulevard, and that's in that Anchorage Pee Wee Valley exit, right off that Highway 146 exit of the Snyder.
Okay. All right. So easily accessible here in the Louisville area for sure. I want to talk about something that a lot of women are probably embarrassed about talking about, but libido. You had mentioned it. It's that sex drive, right? You may have had it, when you were 20 or wherever you were, thriving in your life. And then maybe you're with your partner who's still very, wants to engage, and you feel like, just shutting all this down.
Yeah.
It can have an impact on your relationship.
It seriously has an impact on your relationship because, that really just being intimate is part of how we, we're able to get along.
Yeah.
Too. It's unitive, right? It's unitive. It's part of that just, connection and that bond as it should be. So, there are always the, how mad are you at that person? Okay, so you got to deal with that piece first, right? Okay, is there a reason that I don't want to?
We know women are wired a little bit differently.
How many things have you done that have really pissed me off?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. What are the tabs that I'm keeping in my brain?
Let's move that out of the way.
Yeah.
We'll just talk pure physics or physicality.
Yeah.
Here,
Like
okay?
if you desire your partner, you find your partner.
Yeah. So if your partner's not really made you so mad,
exactly.
You don't want to look at him.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's really just something like
the libido. It's
isn't turning on.
Libido, or the ability to have orgasm. So there's that too, right? That is part of
as
this.
you get older.
It can, yes.
Okay.
It can. So,
and then if you're thinking, well, if I'm not going to be able to get to that point, then it's not really enjoyable for me, and let's just watch a movie.
Then it's mercy sex.
Exactly. So then it's like the whole thing, and the thing is, your partner notices it, right? They're not stupid. Like they notice.
Yeah. So obviously there are several different things here that work on that. I mean, using bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, that is a huge piece to this because ultimately there are hormones involved in this, right? And whether it's just the desire or whether it's the ability, as we talked about. So that's one component. So I do highly recommend that for somebody that, determines with their doctor it's right for them.
Okay.
I mean, that's a huge piece. And specifically utilizing testosterone. And, I think
there's... Does that sound scary to women sometimes?
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting ready to
Okay.
say. Sometimes people go, testosterone, that's for men. Well, we make testosterone. Women do. We obviously don't have the testosterone level a man does, nor should we. However, and this makes me mad. Okay, I'm going to say this out loud.
Go ahead.
It made me so mad when I found this out.
You should talk about it.
We should talk about it.
So
So actually, testosterone is what helps us with focus and cognition. Doesn't that make you mad?
Oh, wow.
And that is one of the hormones that really helps with that. But it also, bone density, ability that our workout is fruitful, that we can make muscle, but it's also our libido.
Yeah.
But you have to be nuanced with testosterone therapy. For us, we utilize cream. We don't utilize pellets. I know that's wildly out there. The reason we don't is because cream is easier to adjust and titrate once pellets are in there. So you want to be mindful of that.
Okay.
But that's your libido. And we always tell ladies, there's a baseline testosterone that we want to have as we've gone, as we're going or gone through menopause. And usually that's like a little click-it cream, and that may be what you're using in terms of hormone therapy, and you just put that on more of a fleshy area, like your thighs or your butt. That would be where you do it. However, if you're looking for an immediate boost, then what we'll tell folks is maybe put just like a little bit on a thin-skinned area.
Okay.
So you put it like on your wrists.
Yeah.
Like that. If you
I know people who use that.
Yeah, you know, I really feel like I want to, you know, be more, be in the mood.
Yeah.
And so you would do that. And you can actually even put it on your clitoris. So
Okay.
you can do that for sensation and feeling.
Okay.
You know, the other piece to this is, too, it's going to be pelvic floor integrity.
Okay.
So that's the other piece, too, because, again, as hormones change.
That's kind of, when you say pelvic floor integrity, that's that kind of like, you hear people talk about Kegels, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's all kind of connected down there.
So men and women actually, as we age, lose pelvic floor integrity just from gravity.
Yeah.
You know, and so for women,
So if you're leaking on yourself, that has to-
So for women, it could be having been pregnant or childbearing. It could just be hormone changes and age. But as we get older, especially the vaginal wall, that gets thinner. It gets more, lax in terms of muscle tone.
Okay.
So there's an actual physical mechanism issue there too. And so, some great solutions to that. I mean, you can do Kegels and those will be really helpful. I mean, we have a device in our office that is amazing and, we've had it for many years, but it is non-invasive pelvic floor therapy and it really helps tone and tighten. So things like urge incontinence, that kind of, and men and women will do this. I have to pee. How many times does a guy over 40 stop to go to the bathroom?
And then you go and it's like hardly anything.
Yeah. So that's called urge incontinence.
Okay.
That's a function too of pelvic floor integrity, as well as stress incontinence. Oops, I jumped up and down on a trampoline and I peed in my pants.
Yeah.
Or I did an aerobics class and I peed in my pants. So that's stress incontinence.
I sneezed.
Exactly. Or laughed so hard I peed in my pants.
Yeah.
And so those are examples of that, but that's also going to affect sexual function. First of all, maybe just from a self-confidence piece, right? Yeah. But then also the ability, for females, what is an orgasm? It's muscle contractions. Hello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, there's that piece too. So really working to keep your pelvic floor in integrity. And then too, vaginal estrogen can help. Some folks maybe have a concern, maybe they've got a cancer history, things like that, and they really can't use maybe more of the systemic estrogens. They should really talk to their doctor about potentially using vaginal estrogen because that can help with the tissue and the tone inside the vagina so that it has ability still to function in that regard.
Do patients come to you, Terri, and they're like, I'm embarrassed to talk about this. I haven't had an orgasm, or I'm dry, or sometimes we're just afraid to say some of the things, right?
I think so, but for us, we have a really extensive questionnaire that's designed to ferret some of that out so that we can talk about it.
Okay, good.
We should talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but and that's the purpose of this questionnaire. It's really more asking about lifestyle and just things like that. And so you get this more well-rounded picture, even though maybe they don't write reason for visit, diminished libido or, incontinence. They might write that on their reason for visit, but it's part of the whole when we're looking at that because we really are looking at people as a whole. We can bring up the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about a couple things, but I want you to, if you don't mind, Terri, running it through for me again. For people who are going through perimenopause and menopause, what sort of options are out there for them to get some relief?
Well, there's one that you can do on your own, and I highly recommend this because especially, for us in the U.S., having grown up eating a certain way and that kind of thing, you really, now's the time, if you haven't done it, to really dial in on your diet and your gut health. Because remember, and there's a lot of information out there about the microbiome and GI health and things like that. Well, if you have a disrupted gut and microbiome, you're actually not making your hormones very efficiently from that standpoint too. It's disrupting your hormones.
Okay.
So, we see a lot of young women with like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that are having trouble now. And one of the first things we do is work on their gut because that helps get things back in order. So that is going to be ground zero really with any patient we ever see. And again, that's not something that you need to come to a doctor for. Research that. What we recommended, there are some great resources on our website on the Paleo-Mediterranean diet, and that's really what we recommend our patients. So do that.
Okay.
Take on, make sure that you're getting movement, and especially as women, as we get older, maybe we used to run all the time or walk, or we think, and those are good things, can be, but you really need to do strength training. You gotta do strength training.
I know.
So again, these are things that you don't need to go see a doctor about right now.
Yeah.
Look at strength training. Muscle is the currency of aging. If you are keeping your muscles strong, doing, lifting weights or resistance bands, doing some, tough Pilates, and you'll have to start small. I mean, if you're not doing it now, you're going to use 2-pound weights. We're getting ready to have some services that help our patients with that even more. But you are going to want to build muscle density.
Okay.
That's going to help you age well. And really, it's your muscle is like your biggest endocrine system.
Yeah.
So hormones and all of that. So you absolutely want to do that. And then you go down that path of looking at, okay, I'm going to get some testing done. I'm going to talk with my doctor about potentially getting on some bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, see what I can do. And it's really astonishing. I mean, as you know, you've already talked about it, how that can impact how we age. And then, we use a lot of peptide therapies at our practice. We've been using them for many years. My husband goes around the country and teaches people how to use them, which is other physicians. But, those actually, too, can be really impactful on maintaining and preserving, helping with recovery and things like that. And get sleep. Get 7 to 8 hours at least of sleep a night, and really try to track that so that you're getting good quality, deep, and REM.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, I had this moment in my life where I was just like, you know what? The life I have, I need to be able to enjoy it. I suffered migraines for years, and it was debilitating. I went and made an appointment, got some help on that.
Good.
And it was just like, wow. I don't have to feel like I need to sit in a dark corner for 2-3 days to recover, to only go through it all over again. But my point is, you don't have to suffer with whatever it is that you're feeling, whether it's your weight, whether it's your menopause symptoms, whether it's your fatigue. There are options out there.
Yeah.
You just have to find what option suits you, and that requires you to take that step.
Right. I mean, we do have to advocate for ourselves. Back to your point earlier about now people are talking more about women's health and menopause and symptoms like that. Our voices are getting louder, and that's a wonderful thing, because it's not, many of the studies obviously are done on men, which I love men, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm, not, there's not a bad blood there, but we're at least 50% of the population, right? So we need to have our own data, our own information. And truly, what was it, a couple months ago, finally, they lifted that black box warning against women using hormone replacement at a certain age. And, all of that was based on some tiny little false studies in the first place. So why did it take so long?
And think about all of the women that had to suffer for so long. But, I heard this, if men went through menopause and perimenopause, trust me, there would have been a solution to this long ago, and they would not be facing the stigma that, that whole concept, well, this is just part of aging, and you're just going to have to live with it. And every woman goes through this. It's just your turn.
Yeah. On the flip side, I know this is more of a menopause talk, but, it is a trend that we're seeing out there a lot. And it's regarding men, especially younger men, younger and younger in their 40s. There's a big trend towards, if you feel like you've got to lose weight, or you need more energy, or you're not making the muscle you need, just get testosterone replacement. It'll do you. That's dangerous. Okay, so I would just, I would just put that out there to really do your research on that. There's, men might have testosterone issues because of some other issues, but going straight to testosterone therapy in especially younger men, there are a lot of impacts, a lot of consequences to that you may not want.
Okay, and speaking on that topic, I know when I was kind of going through the beginning stages of perimenopause, I would see products out there all the time, hormone balance or blah, 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 all these like pills. And of course I bought everything that said hormone on it, or that said perimenopause or menopause. And a lot of times nothing happened.
Yeah.
What's your warning about the things that are out there? Because there's a lot.
I think you've got to be really mindful about it because, too, you don't know the interactions between this type of supplement and that type of supplement or a medication that you currently are taking under the supervision of your doctor. A lot of people think, oh, those are just supplements. I don't need to put those on my med list. You actually do.
Oh.
Absolutely. You
Okay.
want to put those on your med list. So I would just say buyer beware on that. Really best if you're going to start to, the things that I talked about that you can do on your own, start to heal your gut, work on your GI tract, do your exercise, get your sleep, practice stress management, take up yoga, do something, to work on those. And then when you want to foray into the world of looking at hormones, I highly obviously recommend that you talk with a provider that has experience in that.
Okay. Are there any dangerous side effects of taking hormones?
Well, if you
trying
don't get
some-
them right, yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't get them right. I mean, if you're, for example, if your estrogen that you're taking isn't quite right and you still have a uterus, you might start having spotting and periods and different things like that. Or vaginal estrogen even can create issues in your tissue if you're using too much. Testosterone for women, if you use too much, because here's the thing, there's been a lot in the New York Times about this recently, about testosterone therapy in women, because testosterone is, when we use that therapy, it is energy, it's focus, it's confidence. There are pieces to that, and sometimes people will think more is better and maybe self-adjust a little.
Okay.
The flip side of that then is a deeper voice,
Okay.
facial hair, acne, your hair falling out on your head, and aggression.
Okay. Don't want any of that.
No,
Okay.
no.
So that's why coming to a professional, sometimes meeting someone one-on-one, that can be really helpful.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess around with those.
Okay. All right, Terri, what am I not asking you that you think folks could benefit from, learn from this conversation? I know I have, and I feel like I'm at that age where anytime I see something that has to do with menopause or perimenopause, I stop because I'm like, all right, that's my life right now, and I want to understand
It's very
this.
relevant.
This is what I need to learn about because it's impacting every aspect of my life.
Yeah. Well, I would say, first of all, be nice to yourself. That's a big piece of this. Again, as women especially, we go around judging ourselves so much,
Oh, yeah.
right? Oh, well, this wasn't quite what it should have been, or, oh, gosh, she did it so much better. What's wrong with me? There's the whole, there's the imposter syndrome. There's the confidence issues. There's so many pieces to this that I think if we could start to get a hold of that earlier, and I say this as a person that it took me many years. It really wasn't until I turned 50 where I started to challenge some of my limiting beliefs.
Okay.
So do that sooner. Do that sooner than later, because that too will help you assert yourself in your healthcare as well. So that's the other piece. I mean, get some coaching, work on some, just personal development challenge. Start to take on some of those things that maybe are holding you back. Again, I did not do this until I turned 50, and it was only because I was getting a certification in healthy lifestyle coaching, and I discovered that whole world of coaching, and I thought, this is interesting. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to take on some of those things that are holding me back.
Yeah.
These behaviors and these thought patterns and these, I'm just. And that's not to say go out there and say, I'm the best thing ever, but it is to step more fully into your role and your purpose.
Yeah, I think, and sometimes we think that I got this. I can weather this storm. If I just get on this diet, if I just lose 10 pounds, I'll feel so much better. But I think we need help, right? We need a team. We need a village to kind of get us through all these different chapters in our life.
Yeah, I mean, and two, there's just nothing like whether it's one or two or more, but really one or two can do it, just a good group of friends.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
That they're like, I've got you, girl.
Yeah, or even,
you.
there was a time in our newsroom, I would get together, I'm like, give me some advice with these hot flashes. What did you go through this? Am I nuts? Why? Just to be able to talk about some of that. There was so much relief. Okay, I'm not going nuts right now.
Right.
It's going to be okay. People are going through this too, and I just need to figure out what path I want to take.
Yeah. But there is, I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion. I mean, really, truly, just know this. It's not a foregone conclusion that as we get older, we can't make our muscle. As we get older, we are going to lose bone density. Foregone conclusion. You know, it's not. It's not a foregone conclusion that as we get older, we just keep 20 pounds extra that sit on us. It's not a foregone conclusion that we just shrink into the corner. So I really encourage anybody that's listening, or anybody obviously that's going through these types of changes, to do your research, take control, seek out resources. We've got tons of great blogs on Medical Transformation Center they can just read as education. Our social is great. They're always working on education there too, because people need to know.
Absolutely. All right. I've enjoyed this conversation,
Me
Terri.
too.
Thank you. All right. So if you want more information on Terri and her practice, go to Medical Transformation Center. They are located here in the Louisville area. I've posted a link here on this stream so you can check it out. And you can start to feel better relatively soon. It doesn't have to take forever, right?
No. Just know this, when you start bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and I always make that distinction, we prefer bioidentical, meaning it is compounded and made exactly like your hormones are, my hormones are, women's human hormones. A lot of the things that are maybe more commercially sold through the large pharmaceutical companies are not necessarily bioidentical, because you can't patent something that happens in nature.
Sure.
So that's why we always at Medical Transformation Center utilize compounding pharmacies to create something that's identical. But when you do that, it's not going to be overnight. Remember, especially if you've been in perimenopause or menopause, because that's something important too. It is not too late. I don't care how old you are. So if you think, oh, I've already gone through the change, it's too late for me at 60 to do anything, it is not too late.
Okay.
But just know that there's going to be a ramp up. So you're going to experience some things, you know, ooh, I feel weird, I feel funny, I feel woozy, I don't feel any better. Lean into that, maintain that communication with your provider, but just know it's not going to be overnight.
Okay. And menopause can last for years.
It can't, perimenopause.
Perimenopause.
Menopause, remember, is I'm done.
I'm done.
I am
Okay.
in menopause.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You are in perimenopause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I am. I am. All right, Terri, thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'm
right.
so glad to be here. Thanks
I
for
know, this
chatting
has
about
been
this.
fun for sure. So thank you for helping our audience and talking to us about this and having that frank conversation, right? Because sometimes talking about libido and orgasm and energy and brain fog, it can be embarrassing.
Our team kind of laughs because a lot of times I'll be talking to somebody who is maybe sitting on that the device that I was talking about, that's the non-invasive pelvic floor therapy at our office, and I'll be sitting there in the room talking to them, and we're talking about libido, and they're like, oh, she's in there talking about sex again. But, I mean, it's important.
It's important.
Yeah.
And it's part of life. So
it's part of our vitality.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Terri, thank you so much. All right, I'm Myra Ansari with Terri Paige. Have a great day.